Hello everyone, I'm the college football enthusiast on SG1 Sports Florida, and unfortunately today we will be diving into if it is time to move on from Billy Napier. This may sound a little dramatic since we've only had him a year, but a lot of Gator fans are feeling this way due to the results of the Utah and Florida game. As many observed, that game was for the Gators was an atrocious game. We played horrendous, very sloppy, lots and lots of mistakes, lots of self-inflicted wounds. So lots of Gator fans are upset because a lot of the mistakes that occurred in that game are procedural things that is on the coaches. So lots of Gator fans want some answers, they want some changes. So with that being said, I will be diving into the pros and cons of Billy Napier. So starting off with the pros, we have recruiting. And that is the biggest pro so far that we have seen, because recruiting wise, we are ranked third on almost every website. And it's amazing that we've convinced a lot of young high school prospects, some of the top prospects, to want to commit to the Gators, especially because last year we finished 6th and 7th. So the coaches are doing a very good job on selling a promise, and they're making the players believe, which is inspiring. That's very good on their part. And another pro on Billy Napier is the culture. Lots of people have reported that things just seem different with this culture and that we're more of a brotherhood, more of a family. So that's great to hear. You want your football team to get along. You don't want there to be divided or for it to be a toxic culture. So that's always great to hear. That's a great pro on Billy Napier, being able to have everyone come together, because it takes a team to win, not just some players. So good on him. And another pro is the praise that he has received from other coaches and other people. Specifically, when I say this, I think of Nick Saban. Nick Saban had great things to say about Billy. And he says that because Billy was under his staff when Alabama won a championship or two. There was a year where they had like Lane Kiffin as OC, Kirby as DC, Napier was the wide receivers coach. So he's had praise for Napier and has said great things about him, like many have said. So that's great. Those are things that's someone that you definitely want to hear praise from. But now on to the more negative, going with the cons. First one is the most obvious one, which is play calling. A lot of people are calling for an offensive coordinator, and I will dive deeper into that later. But they do not like the play style and the plays that we do. A lot of people feel like we abandoned the run early. And my stance on that is I agree. Maybe in the first and second quarter, we could have ran a little more. I know our offensive line was horrendous, but I think maybe try some more pitches, some more tosses, try to run on the outside more. But we kind of gave up on it very fast after we saw it wasn't working. But that's something you can't really abandon, especially when you have a two-headed monster like we do in Montreal Johnson and Trevor Etienne, who are some of our best offensive players, and they need to be involved, whether it is running back screen or just running the ball. So that is something I wish we wouldn't have abandoned that early, and a lot of people agree. And back to the screens, we do a lot of receiver screens that I wish we just didn't. They can be good sometimes, but I feel like we use them too much, and I would prefer running back screens. More running back screens rather than more receiver screens. So play calling was a big problem that people saw. And another one that I saw last year that I really don't get is the clock management. I've been seeing that like in almost all the games when there's like under 2 minutes left, like the managing of the time is just terrible. I don't understand what's going on. Like we have 37 seconds left. We let the clock drain all the way to 20 and then call a timeout. It's just like, it's contradicting. Like either call a timeout when it's 37 or let it drain all the way. Not in the middle. That doesn't make any sense. So that's one that I have observed over the past few games, and that needs to be changed ASAP. And then another con that I have written here is stubbornness. A lot of people feel that he is being stubborn and not wanting to get an offensive coordinator, but yeah, that one's debatable. That one we will see if it is true or not, if he is stubborn or not. Hopefully he notices if his play calls aren't working, that he gets an offensive coordinator, because a lot of people have been saying that it's like the Dan Mullen situation where Dan Mullen would not get rid of his defensive coordinator, Todd Grantham, that was clearly dragging the team down. The defense was dragging the team, and he fired him, and then 2 weeks later he got fired because the season was gone. Like it was way too late. So a lot of people are like, oh, I hope it's not like Mullen all over again. So if you hear that, that's what they mean. But something else that is attributing to the frustration is due to what happened on Saturday between Colorado and TCU. I'm going to keep this brief because this is a Gator page. But Dion Sanders, beat number 17 TCU. And that just sent shock waves all throughout college football, and that really put the pressure, that really turned the heat on in the kitchen on some coaches like Billy Napier, who had been preaching patience and to take their time, but Dion came, revamped, portaled in a whole new roster, and they won against a ranked team. So a lot of people are saying that, and they're like, why can't we do that? Where's our Dion? My answer to that is, it's week one. I think Colorado's going to be good, but it's week one. Let's chill out. Let's chill out when it comes to Colorado. Let's chill out when it comes to the Gators. It's just week one. And then two is, we're not going to have a Dion. There's one Dion Sanders. And that's the way he does it. And good for them. They may be really successful, but there's one of him. We can't go looking for another Dion. So with that being said, my final assessment of this is that, going back to what I just said, it's week one. We looked horrendous. The offensive line looked terrible. The boneheaded penalties, like having two of the same number, the illegal shift, the illegal formation, the false starts, the holding, all those bad penalties, the shank punts, the special teams. That it was bad, but it's week one, and I don't know if you guys saw, but last year LSU, they started off really bad. They did some really dumb mistakes, and they improved and eventually made it to the SEC championship. They did lose, but in Brian Kelly's first year, they made it to the SEC championship. So I'm not saying we're going to do that. I don't expect to do that, but I'm saying that that team dramatically improved throughout the year, and who says the Gators can't do that? So I don't think it's time to fire Billy, because if you think about it, do we really want to start another rebuild? We're already in a rebuild, and with this rebuild, we're recruiting pretty well. We recruited a pretty solid recruiting class for the 2023 cycle, and for the 2024, it looks to be even better. One of the highest rated recruiting classes that we've had since maybe 10 years. So I think things are looking very good in the recruiting sense, and I think we just need to be a little more patient with Billy and his approach. And I can't guarantee anything, but I feel very comfortable that we will continue to improve as the year goes on, as the weeks go on. So I feel good in that sense. And if we were to fire Billy be a whole new rebuild. Like I said, a rebuild on the rebuild. And we would most likely miss out on all those top recruits that we have convinced to commit to us for the 2024 cycle. So, with that being said, my final consensus is it's not time. It is not time to move on from Billy Napier yet. But if Billy wants to keep his job secure, I suggest that this year we do the best we can. We fight hard. We do some upsets. We try to finish 8-4, 7-5, maybe 9-3. Who knows? I said that earlier, but who knows? Just try to do the best you can. But next year, I think for sure we're gonna have a harder schedule. Our team's gonna be more veteran than they were this year. So I think with all that, I think it's time to get an offensive coordinator next year. But for this year, just do what you can and limit the silly mistakes. But that being said, I hope the Gators get better. I hope we improve. And if you have any agreements or disagreements, feel free to leave them down below. And hopefully we take care of McNeese next week. And I'll catch you next time.